Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a few legal instructions on our assignment for this week, the drill press vise. The drill press vise is going to be done on Inventor, and what it is going to be, this is considered an assembly, what's called an assembly. As a matter of fact, I probably should have opened the Inventor software. Uh, Read only. There we go. So I can show you on the inventor what we're going to be doing. But nonetheless, this is the drill press vise that we'll be working on the same folder, ladies and gentlemen. I also put another couple of assemblies, like this one, for example, the machinist vise, and then we also have, oops, we also have um, the belt tightener. Okay, so I'm not expecting these. I'm not expecting you guys to work on these for a grade. This is just more for practice purposes. This is the one that I am going to be asking for a grade. If there's any students that would want to compete in Skills USA competition, you need to be at this level. Okay. So it's really not that hard. As a matter of fact, let me explain this one just so you know what an assembly takes care of. The assembly is basically the whole thing all put together. But just like on the drill press vise, if you look at the drill press vise, the part that we're going to eventually accomplish is actually this part right in here. That's what's called the assembly. So the assembly is all of this put together. So what you need to do, at least the first part of it, is you need to design all the individual part files. For example, right in here, this right in here is the sliding jaw. The sliding jaw is going to be one part, and this is the information. This is the view of the jaw face. So this face is actually this edge right here of this sliding jaw. Okay, so we have to design and create the part file for that one. And then we're going to eventually need the handle rod, the handle ball. We're going to need the jaw plate. And all of those are the individual part files that we need to create. And I'll tell you where to store them here in a little bit. But just like the handle rod, it's going to take this part right in here. That's going to be the handle rod part. It's going to be an individual inventor file. And then eventually we're going to assemble it. I'm going to put it right in here. The handle ball, even though it says two, we're only going to do one for now. You're going to make only one. And there's the handlebar. There's the one right in here. Um, I can't even draw a little one. Sorry about that. Stem. So this is the one handlebar here, but within the assembly file, we will make a duplicate and make the second one, okay? So we only need to design one, but we will eventually need two of them. And that's basically what we're going to be doing as far as the assembly. You're going to have the jaw plate, a retainer screw, retainer plate, the main screw in the middle, and then the base, okay? So these are the individual part files. The one that you're not going to design, but is going to be part of the assembly, is this machine screws. Okay, so this is another thing that I'll show you on how to get to from Inventor, because Inventor has some pre-built a pre-built library of parts that exists. So I'll show you how to get to that library, and that's how where you'll extract the machine screws. But that's really not a part until we get to the assembly. So this is the only one that you don't have to do. The rest of them you do. And this is all the information for that. And then eventually we are going to put them together in the assembly file. So that assembly file is what we're going to try to accomplish, but we need to design these individual parts first. So remember, on Inventor, you always start with the parts. So we're going to start with the part files. That's what we're going to be doing um, first. And we're kind of familiar with the part files already. You guys have done drawings. We've done drawings. Those are the ones on the B-size paper with the title block and your name and dimensions and all that. Of course, for the assembly, we really don't need that. But eventually, we are going to get to the assembly. And what the assembly does, it takes all the individual parts you're going to do and put them together to create the assembly. So that's what we're going to be accomplishing, or that's going to be the next task on hand for this drill press vise. First things first is we need to take care of all the individual part files. Once we have all the part files, I will show you next on to create the assembly, which, to be honest with you, won't be until next week. Okay, so we're going to start with the part file, then the assembly. Now, another thing, when we create the assembly, well, I guess let me start with this first. Where do I want you guys to put those files? On your drive, you should have a folder that I created for you. Okay, I happen to be just using the Timmy Turner name. Under your folder that you've created for you, you should have already two subfolders right now. You have the 1309. That's the one that we're working with today, which is our 1309 basic CAD dual credit class. Inventor and AutoCAD. 1317 is your residential planning. So under these two folders is where you really the only folders you should have at this point. All your 1309 work should be under here, 1317 here. Next semester, we'll be creating the 2321 and the 2330. Those are our civil drafting courses for next semester starting in January. Okay. And then this is another thing we'll talk about a little later. Okay. Not for this semester, by the way. So 1309 and 1317. Now, under 1309, when you go in there, of course, this is just a sample folder, but here you should have all your inventor part files, your drawing files, your cross base, fixture base, and all that. This is where you should have all that stuff under 1309. And then, like I said, under 1317, that's your residential planning. I don't think I have anything in here. Well, maybe the floor plan for a demonstration. But other than that, under 1309 is where I want you to put the drill press vise. Now, what I want you to do under 1309 is I want you to create a new folder. I want you to create a new folder, and we're going to call it drill press vise. Okay. Why drill press vise? Because that happens to be the name of this guy. The drill press vise. Oh, I misspelled it. Vise. Vise. Okay. Drill press vise create. Under that folder, in here is where I want you guys to then open, create new, create the new file. Which new file? The base, the retainer plate, the screw, the jaw plate, the handlebar. So you're going to do those individually. And, by looking at everything all at once, it kind of looks kind of scary type of thing. But just like this one too, you look at this and it's like, oh, MG, it's a lot of work and stuff. It kind of is, but it really isn't that hard. So like in this case, if you look at the spacer, look at what the spacer entails. It's really just that right there. That's a very simple 2 3/4 by 1 inch rectangle extruded 1/4 of an inch with two drill holes. This could probably take you a whole whopping 5 minutes, if that. Okay. And then you have the jaw insert. So the jaw insert, this is the information for the jaw insert for this one. We're not going to do this one, but I'm just showing you how to disseminate an assembly if you ever see one. It's just all these individual drawing files. That's all it is. It's really the same thing with our drill press vise. The drill press vise is just individual files, okay? So you look at the individual files like the retainer plate. Look at this information here for the retainer plate. Really, really simple. You go and create the retainer plate, save as, and you're going to save it under the drill press vise folder, okay? How am I going to grade it? Well, I don't want you to submit because then you'd have to submit a total of, I think it would be 8 or 9 different part files, 11, something like that. It's several files that I really don't want to be submitted. So the way I'm going to check it is I'm going to create an assignment. The assignment, there'll be nothing to submit. What's going to happen is on the due date, I'm going to go and check your folder. I'm going to go to the folder that I have created for you. Here's the one for this school year. I'm going to go to the PM class or AM class and go to the students folder and check what they have. And I hope it's in there. Okay. And that's how you're going to get your grades. So this should be a simple, easy 100 as long as everything's there. And of course, everything as long as it looks correct. Okay. So that's basically what we need to be doing for this project at this point. The next thing we're going to do, the next phase will be the assembly. I have to create another video to show you how to create the assembly because it is a different format. Even when you create the assembly file, it is a little bit different. And the assembly, what it's going to do, it's going to take all the individual parts and put them in and assemble them. But then we also have to constrain them using the assemblings and all that stuff, using joint constraints, all these other types of constraints. And you notice that this is way different. So I will have to show you how to do that. Now, the only thing that kind of worries me is for you to submit the assembly when you go and do a file save as, which is what I'm going to want you guys to do. At one point, it's gonna create the assembly file, but it also links itself to all your individual files. So just for future reference, what I'm more than likely going to have you guys do is still create the assembly, but what I'm going to want us to do is after we create the assembly, I'm going to want us to create a presentation of it. Okay, so the files that we're going to be working with for now to begin with is going to be the part file. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to work with the part files, all the individual part files that I mentioned. Eventually, on the next video, I'm going to show you how to create the assembly to put everything all together with on the individual parts. Okay. We're not going to create a drawing, so don't worry about creating a drawing. But the last thing we're going to do is we are going to create a presentation. And what this does is it creates a presentation of an assembly. It can actually be animated. You can put notes on there and stuff. And I'll be honest with you right now, I've never done this before. So this is the way I'm going to have you guys create your file to submit once we get to the assembly. Once you finish the assembly, I'm going to have you guys create a presentation of the assembly, and then you will then submit your presentation. You can actually make this into a video. Okay, from the little bit that I know. At this point, I don't know how to do that. So I guess we're going to find out all together how we're going to be doing our presentation. First things first, let's work on our individual part files. Save them on your Google Drive on that folder that I'm asking you guys to create. Okay, under your Google Drive. Just to recap, uh, my drive, Timmy Turner, 1309, drill press vise, and in here you'll have all the individual parts that I'm going to be checking for a grade when the assignment is posted.